Welcome to the This Mum Loves Tech podcast, the go-to show for female business owners who want to simplify tech and get the support they need to grow their online businesses with confidence. I'm Nicola Walsh, your podcast host. I'm also a mum to two cheeky boys and I love tech, so you don't have to. I'm here to share actionable tips, tools and strategies that will help you streamline your business and make the tech work for you. So whether you're watching after the kids have gone to bed or listening while on the school run, let's dive into today's episode and make tech that little bit easier. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of This Mum Loves Tech. And I'm delighted that today I am joined by Sophie Fraser, who is a mindset and neuro coach. So Sophie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really looking forward to the conversation that we're going to be having and obviously the masterclass that I'll be delivering next week.
Yes, so I'm really excited because Sophie's coming into this Mum Loves Tech membership to deliver a masterclass on rewriting your sales blocks. But before we get into all that exciting stuff, please do tell us a little bit more about you and what it is that you do and how you help online business owners.
Amazing. Yes. So I like to sort of say, I'm just putting my different hats on, but really I'm a mindset and neuro coach, but also I'm a rapid transformational therapist, which is a form of hypnotherapy. So essentially I'm working with people's minds really, and I work a lot with ambitious female founders, executives as well, online business owners, to help them really work through what I would say the mental barriers to get to where they want to go with their business. So I'm sure we've all experienced this as we're building our businesses. We have our vision, we have our strategy, and we have our tech, obviously. But then what holds us back from going towards those goals, like, are we setting the right goals? Have we got the right vision? And how do we challenge ourselves? So it's things like the procrastination, the imposter syndrome, the fear of showing up as ourselves. And it's what I call the 80% of building a business is your mindset and your ability to take that strategy into action. So that's where I come in, because I believe that building your business should feel good. Yes, it should feel stretchy, it should feel challenging, but it should also feel like it's something that you are mastering and that you're enjoying the journey. So it's about happy high performance, is what I like to coin it, where we don't have to sacrifice our happiness in order to have the success in our business. We get to have the impact, the freedom, the income, and the outcomes that we really want, where we feel good.
Oh, that's so amazing, because like you said, the mind can really hold us back in when we're trying to do something. We know we're good at what we do, but then it's not just doing the thing that we do, it's the marketing. You have to feel about putting yourself out there, showing up on camera and standing in front of people, and if you're networking, and there's loads of other things that come with being and running your own business, that if you were working for something else, there'd probably be a different department doing it for you.
Exactly. I bet do you know what, you've really hit the nail on the head. I always say, I don't know if you feel the same way, but really learning to run your own business is probably one of the most exposing things that you will ever do, especially if you come from, I don't know, like a corporate background, and despite all the frustrations there, you're not representing yourself. And I think this is the thing that we all have to work on. I'm 4 years into my business now, is working at what I would say the more identity level stuff. Who do we think we are? Who are we becoming through the context of our business? And when we start realizing that actually a lot of that is stuff that we can shape, our belief system, we can shape who we believe we are. But everything that is in our brain is generally a product of what's come before, you see, because that's how our brains are forming information and taking information. So it's a product of the past. So if you think about your brain, it's a product of the past, but how do you kind of morph that, the stories that we tell ourselves, the mindset, the actions, the emotions that we're feeling? How do we make that aligned to this future state version of the person we're really starting to become? So it's a brilliant personal development journey when you are building your business, but it can be hard as well, can't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think you go to set up the business because you're like, I'm good at this thing. I want to help others do it. And then all this other stuff comes in. And it's learning how to deal with it, and also recognizing it, because sometimes you don't realize that the thing that's holding you back is that, imposter syndrome or whatever. You may think it's because you're not good at something, but it's not. It's that you lack the confidence and the belief to do it.
Because I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. I mean, you must see this all the time with tech, is that we expect ourselves to be good at stuff straight away, and then we really, like, beat ourselves up if we don't know that thing, and then that can really, drain our confidence, like you say. But actually, if we realize that, you know what, we've got this muscle for learning and creating and mastering stuff, and we learn how to sort of do that with a little more self-compassion as well, that can just be such a game changer. So yeah, I think self-compassion and being kind to ourselves is really, really important too.
Yeah, like I always say that you don't know what you don't know, because and the thing that you do, and the thing that you do really well, and the thing that you're setting up your business for. Like, when have you ever had an opportunity to learn stuff like the tech? You wouldn't have, because we didn't learn it at school. It didn't exist.
Exactly. And it's changing all the time as well. That's
Exactly.
the other thing. It can be confusing. It's changing. It's like, I've just got to grips with that, and now I've got to get to grips with, the other things as well. Yeah.
They do an update and everything looks different, and
it's like, oh my god, it's a bit like when they change the supermarket around, isn't it? You can't find the thing that you always know. You can normally go around in your sleep. So yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's like you navigate it all again. And so many times I get the ladies say, oh, I'm too stupid to do this, and I'm just like, you're not, you just don't know it. Like, there's nothing. I think it's that, what you were saying, the compassion of yourself, because so many times you think, oh, because I'm a business owner, I should know this stuff, and it's
like magically.
Why? When have you been taught this? When did anyone show you how to do this? Like, until you learn it, you're not going to know it.
And you have to set your mindset up to be okay with learning it, and to actually embrace the messiness of that learning journey as well. So again, that we can face that, and we can sort of almost like not laugh it off, but it's almost like, okay, I got that wrong. Because actually, interestingly, when they've done work and research around growth mindset, what they realize, and they studied a lot of children around this in actual fact, and measured what's happening in brain activity. And what they realize is that actually it's what happens when we make a mistake is that the brain lights up in this region where it's this big reveal, and this kind of like, oh, I made a mistake. And that's what really helps with the rewiring. It's not that you've got it wrong, it's just like our brains are predictors of things that are going to go wrong. So it takes more notes of the stuff that goes wrong, and therefore that will accelerate your learning. So actually, this whole thing of learning through making the mistakes will make you get there quicker, because what happens is you don't make that mistake again, because it becomes wired into your brain. So the worst thing that we can ever do is to avoid making the mistakes in the first place. We have to embrace it and say, okay, with the tech, I'm probably going to make some mistakes here. But everything is fixable, and then that will speed up our journey ultimately than just avoiding doing it.
That's super interesting. So how did you get into all of this? Like, you've clearly got this extensive knowledge about what it is that you do, but you said you've only been doing it for the last 4 years. So tell us a bit about your journey.
Well, I've sort of been around the block a few times, Nicola, to be fair, which I love, because it's like, actually, you can embrace the knowledge that's the other thing I would always say, is that everything we've learned before helps us build our business, even if it's been in somewhere completely different, all that information, all that knowledge. So I've had 2 careers and 1 calling, I always say. So I started off many years ago as a fabric buyer. So I did design at uni. I went into fabric buying. I loved it. I was traveling. It was very creative and a rewarding career to be in, but it wasn't very flexible, let's just say, when it comes to having children. And I was working in London. I got pregnant with my first child, Emily, who's now 21, and I realized I couldn't be doing these like 12-hour days, 5 days a week, because I wasn't living in London. It was a long commute. My husband was working all over the place. So I actually took a break and I had to rethink what I was going to do. Anyway, so that was the first one. I fell into marketing. So that was like I did a few bits in between, some sort of like more admin-y things. I worked in the L&D department. But then I found myself working for a startup and then sort of like moved into marketing basically, and then worked for a digital transformation consultancy. I did that for about 10 years, but it didn't really light me up. It was really flexible. So I worked from home 3 days a week while my husband was traveling everywhere with his work. So I was very much that like linchpin with the family. What I realized, I've got another child, Harry, who is 18. But as growing up, I realized that there were some things that were a little bit different about, particularly with Harry. He was very hyperactive. Anyway, long story short, both of them got ADHD. With my daughter, who's doing brilliantly now, she's at university, we went through a massive difficult time with her. So because she was diagnosed later on with ADHD, but anyway, she had a lot of challenges. She had an eating disorder. We went through all these like wilderness years, which were incredibly difficult and challenging, but it really sparked an interest in me to understand how our minds are wired. And at the beginning of lockdown, she'd come through, she was starting to get a bit better, and I don't know, I just had a reset. I don't know, a lot of people can probably relate to this. I just thought, what am I doing with my life? How can I help other people? You know, having gone through that whole experience really gave me a whole new perspective, and I just felt like there was more that I could give other people. I found hypnotherapy. This sounds crazy, and I just said to my husband, I really want to train as a hypnotherapist. Don't ask me where. It just came from, you know, like you start getting interested and listening to podcasts, and I was opening up my mind. So I did that. I became a hypnotherapist. Then I realized I really wanted a coaching and evidence-based coaching structure to really, because hypnotherapy is about rewiring the mind. In actual fact, you're working with the subconscious mind, and you're working with a lot of goal-orientated, you know, things that you want to get to, but kind of rewiring the mind. But I thought, you know what, coaching would be really helpful to add on to this. So I then became a neuro change practitioner, which is an evidence-based framework for rewiring your mind and change. And it's like a PhD level program in terms of the information. It's not in terms of how you teach it, but the quality of the information. And I've sort of like, since then, I started working a lot with entrepreneurs and business owners, and I just really love it, because it's just at the heart of it all, whether you're helping someone for their business or not, you're actually helping someone to feel better about themselves and to take new actions and to change their belief system. So, you know, what you were saying earlier on, oh, I'm not good at tech, and it's the same thing about sales. You might say, I'm not good at, but those are all beliefs, systems and patterns that have been wired in from years and years ago. So I'll be revealing more of that on the masterclass. But yeah, that's my story.
Oh, that's super interesting. And I do think COVID, because of what happened during that time, a lot of people had that opportunity to reflect, and it's like, well, what do I actually want to do with my life, and how, coming out of this time, how do I want that to look, you know, because obviously everything completely changed during that time, and so many, the online business world just went absolutely crazy. And then it's kind of, it went crazy and it went really fast, and then the last couple of years it's really slowed down. And I think that's where a lot of that mindset work needs to be done, to know it's not you that is like not any good anymore. It's that the market has changed, and understanding that, like getting your beliefs to make you feel confident that no, you still know what you're doing, you still can help people. It's just that the market out there has changed, because COVID is now like as long ago as it was now.
That's such a really interesting point that you raised there, and I think it's the one thing about, yeah, not just technology. Obviously you've got AI, and that's changing things massively, and it's obviously up, uprooting business models, online course, like things are changing and evolving all the time. And that's like one of the beauties of being a business owner, is that you don't have to go and ask half a dozen people what I want to do in my business and how I might want to shift or pivot or change my services or just morph them in some way. You get to be in the driving seat of that, and you get to make decisions quite quickly if you, like you say, can have the confidence and belief within yourself that you're just going to try new things out, and that it's okay to be in this kind of creative phase as well as being a bit, within being a business owner. You have to be creative, you have to be nimble and be able to execute at speed. And a lot of times I see perfectionism an awful lot, holding people back because they want everything to be perfect before they press the button. But actually, just going back to the whole idea of change and sort of being nimble, is that you can't know that until you kind of got I would say ship at 70%, and then you refine through the knowledge and feedback that you're going to get. I don't know if you sort of found the same thing with your business. You can't have it all worked out because you can't possibly know, can you? But you need to get to that point of just doing it.
Yeah, definitely. My favorite saying is done is better than perfect, because like you said, you can't ever get to perfect, and you won't get to perfect without getting it tested. And I love what you said about the sailing at 70% or shipping at 70%, because it's true. Like, until you put it out there, you could keep perfecting something, and then you eventually do get around to putting it out there, and it's what people don't want it. So then you've wasted that time. Whereas if you put it out there somewhat done, and sail it off while it's at kind of 70% built, you can then make tweaks to it as it goes its course, and see what people's feedback is to it. Definitely. I definitely wouldn't have got my business going as much as I did if I didn't follow that done not perfect, because perfectionism was something I definitely suffered with, and it was learning that, and I learned that through doing the Tech Pixies course. And I've actually got Joy coming on the podcast in a few weeks' time, and it was a kind of a real, they say, like, light bulb moment of like, well, just put it out there first, and then and especially with digital stuff, I've said it on the podcast before, it's not like it's a set in stone thing. It's not a printed like leaflet or something that once you've had thousands of them printed, you can't change it. Digital stuff can constantly be tweaked. You can go and edit a post, you can update a landing page, you can, even if you sent an email that had something wrong in it, you can send another one with how many times have you seen whoops emails come out and all that kind of stuff. Like, nothing is ever set in stone. So
I think that's such a good point, because it is a living, breathing thing, isn't it? Like your web, and it should be, because like how many times people sort of say, oh god, I'm not being back in the website and all that. But actually, if you see it as a living, breathing thing, that you can constantly go in, you can constantly change, and it should be doing that. It really should be changing and morphing as you're changing. But I think a lot of this perfectionism, again, like just talking from a neuro perspective, it comes from everything we've learned before, particularly our upbringing at school, where we were constantly praised and reinforced for getting things right, rather than the growth mindset way, which is you should be praised and reinforced for having a go and for doing the thing. And therefore, it's no wonder that our brains are wired to want to do things and get things right all the time. So we have to like undo that wiring and rewire in this new growth mindset approach. And that's like one of the best things that we can do for ourselves within our business, is to have this growth mindset.
Yeah, that's really important to understand. So what would you say is something that most people get wrong when they come to start working on their mindset? Or what's the common thing you see people have like said that they've done, and when they've come to work with you, they've realized it's not the right thing, or they haven't gone about it the right way?
Yeah, really, really good question. I would say the biggest misnomer is that it's working with just positive psychology, like positive affirmations, and like believing everything is just perfect, like being in that, like that positive state is going to be enough. And actually it really isn't, because what you're dealing there is with like the surface level stuff.
Yeah.
So actually, if you want to go in and change things, you have to get really curious, and you have to start working with what I would say both parts of your mind. So you need to start working with the subconscious mind, because we have two parts. We have the conscious, logical, creative, goal setting part of our brain, which is about 5%. And then we have this other thing called our subconscious mind, which is really the 95% of what we are doing, what we're thinking, how we're feeling, our habits, our beliefs, our emotions, our long-term memories. All of those things are in your subconscious mind. And most of the day, from the moment you get up to the moment you go to bed, is pretty much on a program. So if you want to really start changing, you need to start becoming really curious about what has already become wired in terms of your behaviors, your emotional responses, your triggers, because all that has been created from your experiences. So if you're going to stay on the surface level, you're going to find it hard to change. So you need to go to the right part of your brain. So it's about becoming conscious of your unconscious. So some people might call it the unconscious mind, but those programs will keep running because they're meant to like conserve energy in our brain. Once we can start to understand why those things are running, we can do something about it. We can consciously decide what it is that we want. Like, how do we want to be on a sales call? How do we want to show up? What beliefs do we need to build? And then through repetition and through practice, really, and embodiment, if you heard of that term, everyone talks about embodiment. Well, the subconscious mind is the body, because it's the wired in responses that are just happening automatically. So you have to go through that process. So you stop just working with the logic and start working with the subconscious mind.
Wow. Yeah, really interesting. You said it's not just about, thinking.
Yeah, just like, I'll just think positive. I'll
Yeah.
just do the affirmations, and you're like going through the motions, but nothing's actually changing.
Yeah. Like when you see people saying, I'm going to say an affirmation in the morning, and you can get into a habit of that, and that can then become part of your subconscious.
Yeah.
But it's not picking up on those things that you're subconsciously telling yourself when it comes to, like, the affirmation is not, they're not going to help in times when you are on things like we were saying about sales calls and stuff, and is coming to the point where you have to say to someone your prices, and then in the back of your mind your subconscious is saying to you, oh, this is too expensive, they're not going to say yes to it, and you haven't even told them what it is yet,
and then you bottle it at the end because that whole protective mechanism is kicking in, isn't it? It's like saying, we'll just rush and say at the end, and rather than confidently believing in your services and the value that you bring. So I'm not saying affirmation, like all those things are amazing to do, but if you're trying to just paper over the cracks and you're trying to ignore the fact that actually you've got this goal, you're thinking positively is going to help. But if you've got those old belief systems and patterns that are still running the show, it's going to be hard to get there. It's going to feel really hard, and it's going to be feeling, you're going to be feeling maybe a bit stressed or dysregulated. Whereas actually, if you can start to get curious about why they might be there, and then start to build that belief in the patterns, it can just help speed the process up a lot quicker.
Yeah, because I think we forget how much we unconsciously do. Like, I'm sure everyone's done that thing where you've like driven somewhere and then you've got there and you're like, I don't remember that journey, because you've just done it. Or, if you're maybe cooking something and you just throw the ingredients in because you're so used to doing it.
And you're holding a conversation, so you're using your conscious mind to be able to do all the other stuff. And like you say, the unconscious mind is sorting everything else out. It's doing the cooking. It's all of those things. It's all on a program. It's all been learnt before, and it's all been wired in, so it can use it, and it's been used many, many times over, because it's conserving energy at the end of the day.
Yeah. So how can, without giving too much away in relation to the masterclass, how can rewiring some of these beliefs that we have about ourselves, especially when it comes to sales, help us as online business owners?
It can really, when you start working with your subconscious mind, when you start to flip the beliefs and become aware of what's running, you can consciously choose how do you want to start showing up, how do you want to start feeling and believing about yourself. And you can start to, like, practice that and create scripts for it, and like visualization. There are lots and lots of things that you can then start doing to update those systems, because you've got this brain that is always changing because of this thing called neuroplasticity, which means that we can build new programs. So really what you're going to try and do is build a new program through action and doing, as opposed to just letting the other programs run. So you've got to think about, how do you want to be, how do you want to, and uncover some of these things that are just running on repeat. And it's no different. You can take any part of your life or business and do that, like your money story, your sales mindset, and you can start working actively on those things. So I can't wait to share some of the tools and some of the practical things that you can be doing to just really start feeling better and shift into that identity of a business owner that is just showing up and is enjoying the process. Because actually, I don't know if you've been on it, like on a sales call where you feel, like confident in what you're delivering, and you've really honed in on that thing and you're feeling good. That energy is really infectious, because the way you hold yourself, the way you deliver and talk, the way you can listen, because you're not constantly worrying then about, oh, I've got to say my price. Because once we start working on all of those things, you just start showing up as a different version of yourself that's already in there. And you can say things confidently and show up for your business and sell, I believe, with confidence and conviction and authenticity. Because I think that's the key thing. You can do it in your way. You don't have to have a script then. The script might help, I don't know, but if you're the same, but if you're looking and trying to read off a script or something somebody has told you, that's how you should sell, it's quite difficult to do that. But if you can kind of lean into more of some of your intuition, that can really help too.
And that's something as well, we're going back to that fear of making a mistake thing, is that those kind of skills are something that you are going to get better at the more that you practice them. And exactly. So it's to make sure that your mindset doesn't get affected if the first one doesn't get the yes or doesn't get the sale. As seeing that as a learning opportunity. Yes. Of, well, why didn't I? And how can you make improvements the next time you do it, and not go into then the next meeting thinking, well, that person didn't buy, so this one isn't either.
Exactly. Yeah, I think again this is why I believe like that growth mindset of improving over time. Again, I know it's very difficult, because obviously with sales, immediately you say sales, you think about the money, you think about you get into that energy of, not like it must happen, that energy, I've got to get this sale, like you said. Actually, that stands in our way, because we know that process goals and being in the moment and being present are so much more effective. They've studied this, so we know that if we can actually lean into the process and improve our sales process through, like you say, through the doing and seeing it as an opportunity for improvement, again, like you say, you are going to get to those outcomes. You will get to those goals that you are looking to get to. But if we only focus on that end result all the time and put ourselves under a huge amount of pressure, it can just be overwhelming, and that's when you get into fear states. And then we know if we're in fear, we're in fight, flight, or freeze. So you might feel like you're frozen, you can't get your words out, or you might just think, I just don't even want to turn up for this sales call. So the more we can be in flow, because flow is the opposite of that. Flow is like where we are we're relaxed, we're present, we're in the moment, but there's also an element of challenge as well. So the more we can kind of get into that flow state and say, well, I'm seeing this as a great learning opportunity, and every single little step that we do gets us closer to that end goal anyway, it suddenly feels so much more enjoyable, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think if we remember as well that, especially if when we get talking to that person in that sales call and we know that the thing that we've got can really help them, like putting across that positivity in the way that, you know, we deliver the price and the sale, it's like you get across that energy of, I'm so excited because I know this can help you, and all that kind of thing. It just brings a different energy to it as well.
Exactly, that you get into the energy of service. And again, like if we're just focused on ourselves and the outcome, I must have that sale, you can't be in the energy of service, can you? Like you say, I think it's just, yeah, if you're kind of getting into the right energy and curiosity, like actually genuinely want to find out, or you know, you have this service, you're curious to find out where they are, and really your offer's always just that bridge, isn't it, from A to B. It's like, where are they and how can you then serve them? And I think people will really pick up on that. So I'm going to have lots of tips as well, because again, it's the reframing of how you're showing up for the sale can make such a difference. You'll feel differently as you work through those things a little bit more in advance.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to have, because obviously we had Lixie last week. Well, actually, when this podcast goes out, her masterclass is that day, it's the same day, but she was on the podcast last week telling us about the strategy of it. So it's like getting to the point of getting the person on the sales call. And then I really wanted to bring you on to help people then on the sales call with the confidence and all that kind of thing, and the mindset, because there's all very well getting people onto the call, but if you then can't get yourself in the right mindset to then help with the sale at the end of it, then there's not much point of getting that person in the call in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. And it is a skill that you can just keep on improving over time, and as you can even get to the point where you really look forward to a sales call. And some people might be thinking, oh god, I'm never gonna, but actually again, it's that opportunity for connection. And it's a bit like turning up and having this podcast and having an opportunity to have a conversation and to add some value, like you're adding value, and I'm trying to add value as well for your, you know, so again, it's like you get in that mindset, it just feels completely different.
So yeah, so if you're interested in coming along to the live masterclass with Sophie, so we're going to be rewiring our sales blocks. It's happening next Thursday at 1 o'clock. And I will put all the details for, it's part of the This Mum Loves Tech membership, so it's exclusive for the ladies within the membership. So I'm going to put the details below, and you can come and find out more about the membership and come and join that masterclass, because I know the ladies are really going to enjoy it, and I think it's really going to help kind of cement that kind of sales as we go into this, what is going to be one of the strongest sales times of the year. You know, the end of the year, people they've got sales targets to meet in their own businesses. There's, you know, there's Black Friday, there's that whole Christmas and all that kind of thing. People are just in a more sales mindset, I think, and especially after the summer holidays and the rest and all that kind of thing. It's a great time to get those sales skills in place so that we're ready to make the most of this season.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully just have fun with that as well.
Cool. So I can't have you on the This Mum Loves Tech podcast without talking a little bit about the tech. So obviously what you do is very mind-based, but I'm sure there must be some tech tools that you use to help deliver your services. So what would you say is one of your favorite tools that you use within your business?
Okay, so I do have an all-in-one platform that I use called Expert Space, and that is it's kind of like my go-to platform for everything. So it has my CRM, it has my email, it has my landing pages, what else, it probably has an automations and all of that stuff. So for me, that's been like my go-to system for just like simplifying stuff rather than having to go into like half a dozen platforms. So that's what I I use. And then obviously I use lots of other different tools. I mean, even things like Zoom are a bit of a lifesaver for me, because I do a lot of remote, although I have a coaching space here. A lot of people are in different time zones even. So yeah, I do like tech, because tech allows us to, have the systems that support our work essentially. Yeah,
definitely. And I think it's important about finding the systems that work for you. So it's great that you have, like you said, you found that all in one system that does the things that you need, so that you can concentrate on doing what it is that you do, because tech should be there. I said it many times on the podcast that tech should be there as a way of helping you, saving you time. And if it's not doing that, then it's not the right tech for you.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
So where can people find out a bit more about you? Where can they connect with you if they've enjoyed this episode and want to find out more?
Yeah, so I've got my website, which is www.sophiefraser.co.uk. You'll also find me on LinkedIn, and I can never remember. I think it's just Sophie Fraser Coaching. If you just look me up, I'm sure you'll find me. And I'm also on Instagram, which is sophie.fraser.therapy.
Yeah, so all those links, don't worry, I'll get your LinkedIn link, rather, and I'll put it all in the show notes. So if you do want to connect with Sophie, you can find all of her links under there. But I just want to say a huge thank you for coming onto the podcast and having this been super interesting conversation. And I think a lot of people are maybe not aware of how much their mindset is maybe having an effect on their business, and where by working on it they can see change in things like their sales and stuff by actually working on things in their mind.
Yeah, exactly. It's really about taking action on what we want to do in our businesses, and speeding things up ultimately, so that we can get to where we want to go quicker, with more ease and more joy and fun, I would say.
Yeah, because there's no point in, we all started this business. I mean, everyone has different reasons why they started their business, but you've got to enjoy what you're doing, because otherwise what's the point?
Otherwise you might as well go back to your old job or be in corporate. And I think it gives you so much freedom for so many things. But yeah, the mindset bit is that big 80%. If you can get that, because most strategies, I don't know if you think this as well, are pretty simple. They're not like rocket science, are they?
Yeah.
It's like you have to turn up, show up, you have to do your social media and your outreach, and sometimes you might outsource some of those things, or you might do it yourself, but you need to do those things to build your business.
And a lot of it is down to the confidence to do it.
It is. It's about, can I do this, or have I got that kind of strength of mind and character that I can just keep moving forward with my business. And that's such a big game changer.
Yeah, brilliant. So I think that we could keep chatting for ages.
We could, I know. But
there's so much more that we could delve into the subject, but if you do want to hear more from Sophie, she will be doing that masterclass next week. So do check that out and come and have a look at what else you can get in the membership. And I just want to say again, thank you so much, Sophie, for joining me today and sharing all this knowledge with the listeners. I know they will find this really, really helpful.
Oh, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
So I hope everyone has enjoyed this episode, and I will see you on the next episode of This Mum Loves Tech. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of This Mum Loves Tech. If you're ready to save time and cut through the overwhelm when it comes to the tech and the tools your business really needs, don't forget to grab my free time-saving tech checklist. It's a super simple checklist that shows you what tools are, I believe, essential for your business, what can wait, and what you may have signed up to that you're not actually using. Download your copy at thismumlovestech.co.uk/checklist and start making the tech work for you. You can also find the link in the show notes below, and I'll see you in the next episode.